Welcome to the Lifeline, a production of Simply BJE. The goal of this podcast is to build, inspire, and to empower our listeners through conversations on business, leadership, and mental health. We invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at www.simplybje.com/The Lifeline. Now, let's tune in for today's episode.
Thank you all for joining us on this very special episode of The Lifeline. I am your guest host today, Stephen Coleman, CEO of NameLock Inc. and the Inc. Agency. You can visit the Lifeline at www.simplybje.com/the Lifeline. And also on social media and Facebook, along with obviously Instagram, and now on YouTube. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. Okay. And the reason we're going to do something a little bit different is because this is episode number 40. And what I am going to do today is I am going to interview your host of this amazing podcast, Brother Bo Powell, Lyndsburg Petway, and Barry Elliott, also known as BJE. Good morning, gentlemen. How you guys doing today?
Good morning, man. Good to see you.
Good morning. Great to see you, man. Glad to have you back.
Man, how y'all feeling about 40 episodes in the finale of season 3? How are y'all feeling about it?
Well, Barry, how you feeling?
Because you've been here for all 40.
The truth would be told with how Barry's feeling.
How do I feel about it, man? I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the progress. I'm grateful for the strength to keep going. I'm grateful for the camaraderie. I'm grateful for this connection, and I'm grateful for the new connections we've established. So I'm grateful.
All right.
But I'm also glad that it's the last episode because the brother need a break.
I know that. I know that's right. Bo, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. I haven't been here for all 40, but the ones I have been in, they've been great, man. Glad to be a part of the show.
Okay. Petway.
I am ecstatic. I am grateful. I am full of gratitude because this is season 3 for the Lifeline, but it's my first season as a host. Mm-hmm. So the opportunity to share as a podcaster, but to show up as men. I think that's what we did this season. Our conversations were full of faith, forgiveness, fatherhood, leadership, mental health. All those things were great. But I think each episode, our guests left inspired and they inspired us. So I'm grateful because I am officially a podcaster with the Lifeline Podcast. Wow. Yeah, go ahead and smile, Barry. You know what I mean? You made me.
Hilarious.
I love it.
You had that real proper smile, like, yeah.
But you know what, Petway, I want to stay right there. Because you said a mouthful there, just about the episodes and the subject matter, right? Yeah. And so share with us some of your favorite moments from this past season.
I think my favorite moment is some of the favorite moments were when we got quiet, where the conversation and the meaning was louder than what we were saying. About 2 weeks ago, we had an episode and some emotions were drawn out of me when I was talking about my father. And that was healing. That was some healing for me. That was an opportunity for me to release some things and not just stepping on this platform to help men or help other people, not just men, but it helped me to trigger some emotions that I needed to express, and to show people that for real isn't just a brand. I am for real. I was able to show some emotions. Men don't cry. But I was very emotional when I was just thinking about my father and understanding the foundation of my legacy with him and how I have passed that legacy down to my son. So I think that was my favorite moment when I was most transparent.
I love it. And transparency is all about the Lifeline Podcast.
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about. Barry.
Yeah, I have to echo that. That was actually one of my favorite moments. And I didn't want to go first to say it because he said the other day that I use his moment as clickbait. But
Yeah, man, he already on social media crying. Views went up.
but I think for me, I did not realize that that episode was going to be such a moment of healing. And I know I love these two brothers, and I think it just made my respect for them go up because they were very honest about their experience with their fathers. So I really appreciated that. And I didn't tell you guys this, but Torin, who was on that week, he told us that his mother viewed it, and she said she was glad that he found a space where he could share his story.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
let me finish. Because Bo spoke, and when Bo spoke, in the moment we were listening when we were recording, but when I heard the clip, that's when it hit me in my gut how powerful that was, and
Absolutely.
the mindset of the intermittent memories of his dad, but the one he had was that one, and how he explained it with such detail that I was vividly there as a young boy when that happened. So I thank both for being able to express that and share that with us as well, to
Like
the world too. I
Yeah.
think some other men
like Bo
needed
had
that.
our jaws dropping, like literally.
Yeah,
Yeah, y'all were
yeah,
looking, but I gotta echo. I mean, I think that was, I don't know if I have a favorite moment, but I can say I've had some very powerful and impactful moments this season. I think the one that most impacted me was the show that they're speaking of, where we were beginning to share. Um, and I believe it all started though when we had Brother Caleb out of New Orleans on the show. Me and Big uh, talk. If I were to say what our favorite moments are, it's usually after the show, the
yeah,
conversations we have,
right.
or sometimes before the show. We'll have to share those with you guys one of these days. But
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
um, I just, it was interesting that the show with Brother Caleb, him being on, um, just being able to see how impactful it was to have his father there. And I didn't realize how it was slightly a trigger for me, to say, hey, man, I missed something in my life by not, I really missed it. I knew that early on as a young man. I felt the impact of my dad not really being around, but it just reminded me how, impactful that was and has been in my life. And then when we transitioned over to the show with, Wortham and the other gentleman, where we began to share just how much that impacted those memories. I think that was really moving for me. It just really brought a lot of introspection for me, that I carried even after the show. That has really been part of my healing journey. So I can say this entire season has been part of a healing
Wow.
journey for me and has moved me forward. It's been a very integral part of my healing journey, to become an integrated man, as I call it, or whole man. So it's been a great
Wow.
season.
Right,
Wow.
right. It was
Wow.
different. This season
Yep.
was different. I mean, last season I was on twice, but I did watch some of the shows. But like you said, Bo, this was more of a healing journey. It was like our theme, but we didn't create a theme for that.
Right.
It was,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
actually, if I were to, did we have Dr. Branch on this season? Or was that last season? I
That
think
was
that was
last
last.
season. That was
So
last season.
it started for me when he was on, Dr. Branch. That wasn't this season though. But for me, that began something that really was a focal point for my healing. It's becoming more complete as a man, and this show just really kind of helped me to dig deep. So this was a very impactful, influential season for me.
What's crazy is that I just really so the name The Lifeline, I have a t-shirt that I created called Prayer is My Lifeline. And so I just took the lifeline and made that the name of the show. But I did
Mhm.
not realize that the show would literally become a lifeline.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. When I'll tell you, man, I just even the other day, a gentleman reached out to me, and you just never know who's listening. You
Right.
know,
Right.
we don't get a lot of commentary and feedback, but I had a gentleman the other day that I ran into, actually, it's one of my agents on my team. told me, he says, man, he really liked the show. He's like, man, that show with Steve Coleman was on about financial literacy. Man, that was really good for me. I love that show. I had another guy that was talking about that I met a couple of weeks prior to that, was talking about, hey man, you guys talking about, men's mental health and healing. He says, man, that's really blessing me. And dude, I hadn't seen this cat for years. And I finally bumped into him. He's been watching the show and it's been blessing him. So it's been very encouraging to see that people are actually tuning in, even though we don't hear a lot of it online or see a lot of it online.
I mean, and I think I was gonna jump into that question, because those moments obviously are extremely powerful moments, that you guys are talking about. And you just mentioned, Bo, like some of your guests, okay? Like some of the guests that have been on the show. What have been some of y'all's like favorite guests? And you know what? I know I'm hosting today, so you don't have to feel like you gotta mention me because you don't, okay? But what have been some of your like favorite guests? Because after 40 shows, I mean, there is a lot of content, right?
Mhm.
And so obviously different content is going to hit different, almost kind of like your favorite moment. So what have been some of your like favorite guests besides all of them? Okay, there we
De-
go.
Definitely
I
not
just
all of them. I ain't gonna tell you that lie. Definitely not all of them. I won't tell you that lie. But I will say this: that you would not be here if you weren't one of our favorite guests.
Yeah.
So
oh,
so let's just put that out there. You would not be if you were not one of our favorites.
Right,
As a
right,
matter of fact, when I told Bo, he was like, "Oh, that's my man." So so
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say one of my favorite guests. I'll give you several. Jeremiah out of DC. He's a worship leader, but he's an artist, but he's just humble, and I appreciate real people. So I remember him. He was one of my favorite. Tim, even though he's one of my best friends, but Tim is just like I call him salt of the earth because he's like, if I had a nickname for him, which I do, it would be Mr. Rogers because he's just such an authentic person. Um, and I would say, I think that's enough.
okay,
Yeah, yeah,
good. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
yeah,
But
Petway.
when you say favorite, I mean there were several that impact me.
yeah.
I'm gonna keep it for real. Your story, Steve, was impactful when
Hmm.
you mentioned the legacy of your grandparents and the foundation of education and how that looks now with your daughter. And that is the Huxtable. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
the what we saw on television. So
yeah,
just hearing your story, impact, and scholarships, and what you're doing, how you navigated through the financial scene, that was impactful for me. Caleb's story, as Bo mentioned about his father being right there in his life, and then going to his page and seeing the pictures of his father being a pillar or one of the pillars in the Christian world. Mr. Marshall, his was very impactful. He was very transparent by what happened to him. Yeah, last week, and that to share something like that is very necessary for
yeah.
a person to be successful.
I second that. He was
Yeah.
one of my favorites too. I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, seems like after 40 shows, a lot of favorites. Bo.
Yeah. Man, this is like I said, I think I have to just really go with those shows that really moved me. We had a lot of guests that were just really good guests, I'll say, but it's just certain shows that stood out based on the topic. The ones I mentioned earlier, those are very memorable for me. But one sticks out in my mind too recently, Brother Terrence Smith. Um, I mean, it was just something about that show. I think just the authenticity and the depth of his worship, and just how he's imparting that with his son to see those. That was a very moving show, in addition to the ones I've mentioned earlier. So, I've just, it's been so many shows and so many moments that have just really moved me. And just even having the conversation, and I'm sorry I don't remember the brother's name, but it was the conversation we had about caregiving. And that was, a lot of people don't know, that is a position that I moved into last year, taking care of my mother. And just to be able to connect and hear even Lynchburg's story, who has been, the primary caregiver for his mom for quite some time, and then the other young brother, just to say, hey, I'm not alone in this, because as people were coming in, the home health people, the physical therapy people, the doctors and stuff, they were like, man, that's pretty cool, man. We don't normally see men stepping into this role. It's normally women, right? And I'm kind of feeling some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So, and but to hear Lynchburg, and other brothers' story, about them taking care, and I believe he's taking care of both of his parents.
You're talking about Jeremy
Uh,
Grimes.
that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's taking care of both of his parents, and just to see that there are other men, who are experiencing that same, the challenges that come with that. It's honorable, but it's challenging at the same time, that I wasn't alone. So those are some of the moments that really stood out to me this season.
That's I mean, I'm hearing you guys talk about, those guests in those moments, and it makes me want to go back literally and review like every single episode. Um, because there are so many challenges that obviously we all have dealt with, and things that have impacted us in our life, right? And so, what I want to do real quick is I want to really touch on that. People obviously see you guys online, but they don't see some of those challenges, like Bo, that you just mentioned, right? Petway, that you just talked about your father, right? And the legacy. What are some of the challenges, if you guys don't mind? What are
Mhm.
some of the challenges that you have navigated or faced this year? And what I want to do is I'll start with let's start with Barry.
God, bite it. Okay. So so if I could define the first part of this year, the first 6 months, I would call it a crisis of faith.
Mm,
Not that I was about to walk away from God, but it was a moment where I felt like I was abandoned by God. And it's frustrating. I think they don't tell you this in ministry, but it can be frustrating to see you're ministering to people and you're praying for people, and your prayers for them are getting answered, but yet in your own life, you see the deficits. And so it's like, well, Lord, what's up? What's going on? So that can be discouraging. And then in the backdrop of all of that, I'm working on my doctorate, but they discontinued my financial aid the end of 2024. So I had, my education was interrupted. That was going on. And so just in the midst of all of that, financial challenges, personal challenges, and still having to show up for other people, that was a challenge for me. And it was not really until maybe the end of May, maybe the beginning of June, that I really started feeling myself again. But I was, I was tired. I was mentally tired, exhausted. I'm still going, still showing up, still being there for people, but I was exhausted. And a couple times, the thought of giving up did cross my mind. Um, and I'll be transparent. I think I shared this with Bo, but I'll be transparent with you. So at the age of 11, the age of 18, at the age of 36, those 3 times in my life, I was suicidal. And because I know the signs, I'm able to recognize them afar off. And so actually, I was running an errand early this year, and I literally saw myself hanging from a tree. I was like, ah, this is the devil. So I called a friend of mine and said, I need you to pray. And that's not that I was thinking about killing myself, but I know the satanic suggestions. So I was like, let me call a friend and pray. And I was able to share it with a friend. And that friend said to me, he said, you won't believe this. He said, I had the same experience not long ago. So, um, I think, thank God for faith, but I think the other thing is going through that made me sympathetic for other people. Not that I wasn't before, but I was like, what if I didn't have my faith? Where would I be? So you can imagine with people who don't have faith, how it's easy for them to give up. Because life, the young people say life be lifing. And in 2025, life has been lifing. It's been bananas. But thank God, for a second wind.
That is wow. And the first time I met you, Barry, some months ago, okay, it's what's amazing about what this challenge that you're just saying is I never once I never felt that. I never sensed it. It was never a like, hey man, Barry he's going through something. Which goes to show you how powerful God is.
Mm-hmm.
Because God is using you as an instrument. And so it's an instrument of strength, of perseverance. You have a job to do.
Yes, sir.
And so he's going to make sure not only that you're tested, but that you're protected.
Yeah.
And so to be able to, that's deep. Okay. That's another show too. Okay. That's another show. Because you have a lot of African American, and I mean, obviously we talk about, suicidal thoughts with anyone, but there are a lot of African Americans that are dealing with some of those same thoughts. And they don't have necessarily the faith that you have to be able to endure. And so, man, God bless you.
Wow.
Let's go to some of the challenges. Let's go to Petway. What's some of the
Wow.
challenges that you navigated this year?
This year has been very interesting. I'll say that. Balancing one, being a quote unquote employee at a job while maintaining a business within that job and still creating and pushing a brand that makes people feel uncomfortable. And I say that because my brand is for real. So with that being said, I'm at work, I'm doing what I need to do to be successful there, but I'm meeting challenges from the inside. Could it be because of my skin? Could it be because of jealousy? But the hand of the enemy, of the thief, was exposed this year. There's been some sabotage things going on. There's been some things that have been going on in the back that I was aware of and being exposed to this year. A couple conversations with Barry, 15 to 45 to an hour, just expressing what's going on, balancing that while people want to put you in a box as this, but you are something bigger, and your purpose is bigger, and not letting people keep you confined to their thoughts, but walking in purpose. I'm always going to go back to purpose. Being a father to three boys who are in three different phases of life. First year college student who's happy to be away from home, to an eighth grader trying to get prepared for high school, and to a senior navigating recruiting and trying to get recruited to go play college ball, to being a husband, to a wife who owns a business, is in school. So coming home sometimes, he's up to 1, 2 o'clock doing work. So I have to do my necessary things as a husband, not worrying about what the balance of a marriage looks like. And then the icing on the cake is being a parent to your parent. People say caregiver, that's the technical term, but I'm my mom's father. I mean, she looks to me for every decision. Simply, should I lay like this, Lynn? I'm like, Ma, I don't know. How do you feel? To doing things in which, like I said before, I've never thought as a son I would be taking care of my mom this way. And she turns 90 today, Friday, this episode. She's turning 90. So all of those challenges, I'm at work being a boss, solving problems, doing this, that, another. I come home, I have to change, clean up. And, it's very, I wouldn't say humbling, but it puts you in a perspective of walking in purpose. So just balancing all those things, in addition to keeping a true relationship with God so he can lead you and guide you. You know, as men, you want something to be done in a certain time, you know, your success to be measured this way, this way, this way. And when you're not hitting those goals, sometimes you just have to understand it's part of the process. So some of the challenges, but, you know, through my faith, my belief in God and trusting and knowing, I know he's going to work it out because he did it before. Those are the things that kind of kept me through this particular season and this year, and it's not over. So I'm sure there's going to be some more joy, and I'm anticipating some more joy. I'm not claiming any pain, but we're going to keep moving forward.
And I have to say this, gentlemen. I just have to. This is the reason why this podcast is so powerful. Just those two things from you, Petway and Barry, and we hadn't even gotten to Bo yet, is the reason why the Lifeline podcast is so important. And people have to tune in because these are real challenges that face men. And sometimes we can look at people online or on podcasts or celebrities or whoever, and we think sometimes that their lives are perfect. Like they don't deal with the same challenges that the everyday person deals with. And in fact, you know, a lot of people are dealing with some of those same challenges, but they don't have a space that they can either express themselves or listen to those who are dealing with the same things. And so I believe this is the reason why Lifeline Podcast is going to be the biggest podcast in on the scene because of the
Purpose.
transparency and,
Right.
and being able to talk like this. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So let's round this. I want to round this question out with Bo. You know, some of the challenges that you faced, and I know you kind of shared a little bit about mom. But what are some of the challenges that you faced this year as well?
The professor.
Yeah, the professor. That's you, man. But yeah, that has been a major one. Just transitioning into that role. Um, I've had people in my life who have taken on that role, and they've talked about just the um, magnitude of the demand requires to take care of someone, especially an adult. I didn't, you never know how demanding it is until you're in it. Right? I mean, it is not just physically taxing, but it's psychologically, mentally, emotionally taxing to deal with the dynamics of taking care of someone who at one point in time was responsible for taking care of you. Having to, like Linsberg said, having to take care of my mom in ways I never thought I would have to, you know, as a son, being able to do that. So that was a challenge in of itself, but that came right at the on the back of a failed relationship that I thought was my person
Mm.
that crumbled. Not necessarily because of anything that I did. I feel like that was the best version of myself that had been into a relationship. It was one of the healthiest relationships I had. I thought that was going to be it, and to see that just crumble out of nowhere, and then having to go straight into taking care of mom, that was very challenging to do that. Um, but also being a business owner, you know, primarily self-employed at this point, we're still building the business. So it requires a lot of me for that business to work. Well, you can only be in one place at one time. So having to be in doctor's appointments maybe 4 times a week, trying to figure out what's going on with mom and still having to try to be present in a business that requires so much of you, that's challenging. You know, and to try to get the business going to make sure it doesn't die while you're trying to keep, you know, life going on somewhere else. So that was majorly challenging. And then also, you know, you know, I'm a grandfather. I got kids. You know, I got stuff like that. They're not necessarily in my care, but even when your kids are grown, there's still challenges that impact you, that you deal with, that you have to talk through. Many don't know I have a son who has some mental health issues, but thanks be to God, to see him grow and transition, those have been some lights throughout all of that. But it's been a pretty challenging season, but not one without growth. Like I said, there's been a lot of healing through this season, a lot of things that have happened. And I'm starting to recognize that even these challenges, even these transitions were God ordained. And I don't think we talk about that enough. Just the trauma of divine transition. You know, it can be traumatic. It's disruptive. It comes at some of the most inopportune times. It disorients you because you think your life is supposed to be going this way, and all of a sudden God says, "Nah, you're supposed to be on this way." So it just everything this on this side has to break down so he can build up this side. And a lot of times there's grief because you have to detach from certain things that were very near and dear to your heart. But God says they're expired, it's no more. So those are some of the challenges that I've had to face through this season. But I welcome those and I embrace those because it's making and forming me into the man I am today, and ultimately to the man I feel like God's calling me to be.
And you still stand.
Still standing.
And you still stand. A mentor of mine, one of his famous sayings is, if you praying for sun, you are praying for a drought.
Yep.
If all you're praying for is sun, you're praying for a drought, because you got to have a season where there's rain,
right,
in order for growth to happen. Y'all can cut that part out. Y'all can cut that part out the cast. That was good right there. Now that was good. Now that right there, that was good. I think I'm supposed to come back in season 4 because that was good. Okay.
Won't argue with that. I won't argue with that at all.
That was good. Okay.
Yeah.
But yet you still stand. And once again, this is the reason why the Lifeline podcast is so impactful, because of each one of your ability to be able to be transparent about what it is that you're going through in your life, even though you have guests come on this cast, and we've shared all of our experiences, but in reality, I believe that this will be the best show because it's about you guys. It's about you, gentlemen. And so, as we round out the cast today, let's talk about, kind of what's next. Okay. Like the break is coming, what's next on this hiatus from the cast for a little while. Talk to us about that. Okay. So I'll go back to, let's go to Petway.
What's next? Well, I'm creating, with the help of my son, who's stepping into day trading and Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. He is going into a sophomore year at Oakland University. He's in an honors business program. So he was never. Let me say this. He was athletic, but he didn't like to play and go to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
So he never took that journey. He's always been very smart, analytical, and doing all these things. So I've always tried to support him in a way in which he can be supported. With the other ones, you got to go to practice, dropping off, pick up games. So in his mind, he always thought, look, mom and dad always supporting him. So my goal in this little hiatus is I'm going to create a walk with three platform, focusing on financial literacy, purpose, and legacy. He wants to start building his brand up, content showing people how he's learning how to trade and continue to become better. Also expanding my mentoring program for the automotive sales people. I wouldn't say automotive salespeople, whoever wants to join that particular program, training, showing people how I did and created my brand, and just focusing on what's next. Got something coming up with a major player I was asked to be a influencer for Capital One. Got some coming up in the fall, man. I'm excited about. Can't speak too much on it now, but when it comes out, I think that's going to be one of those turnkeys to put me in position to take me to the next level. And just getting ready for football, baby. It's football season. I love football. Both sons will be playing and watching. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That don't sound like a break. You know what I
No, no
mean?
breaks because
That
I
that
still got moms.
yeah.
No breaks.
Yes, sir. That don't sound. But I love the fact that even during this time, taking a break from the podcast,
Fuck that.
I see the like your vision and the things that you're focused on, family, all of those things is at the forefront. And as a man, that's what we do. And so, man, I'm looking forward to what the future holds in the Petway family. Looking forward to
Absolutely.
it. Looking forward to it, and ready to hear it in the next season
Absolutely.
for sure. Let's go to Bo. Let's go to Bo. What
For
you got
me,
going on? What you got going on?
man, just building, the business. Looking forward to, starting to grow the agency again. That's been going particularly well. Now that mom's gotten to a more stable place, she's not still without challenge. She'll be 85 this year. So that's still there. But we've gotten to a place of more clarity with that. So we're out of that cloud of uncertainty. So that's given me a little bit of space and peace, at least from a mental and emotional standpoint, where I can focus on that. So we'll continue to do that. I'm also building the brand, the Real Bold Knows, but there's a couple of things under that. Of course, my agency that I have, I'm starting to delve into doing some coaching, counseling to a greater extent, ministries coming back to the forefront. So really excited about what God's doing there. So that's pretty much it, man. Just in build mode, but doing it from a different space and place at this point. Like I said, this season has been um, very revelatory for me, just for understanding more of who I am, but more of who God is and how He's calling men to operate in this day and age. I think I may have said it on one of our previous podcasts to start to work from rest, not for rest. And what that means is not just sleeping around all the time, but just having a settleness down in my soul that God's got it taken care of. And so it's moving from a place of faith to trust. And so that's a different mindset. That's a different space to operate from. And I haven't mastered it yet. But I'm excited about what's next, of what God has in store. So that's me, man. So just, growing businesses, growing the brand. I know if you follow me on social media, I hadn't posted a whole lot. But God's just been dealing some things off behind the scenes. And so you'll start to see me back on social media a lot more often, posting more consistently with some great content.
Man, the Lifeline Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, the Lifeline Podcast. These hosts, they give it to you. It seems like you're moving in a place during this break of revelation. That's kind of the word that kind of comes to mind. It's you're moving into a place of revelation and even restoration. And man, I look forward.
Yeah.
To seeing what God has for you, and how He's going to move in your life in season 4. And so, talking about what's next, let's round this out with Barry. Talk to us a little bit about what's next. I mean, I know that you've been on every show. You are the tech man behind the scenes, making sure that sound and cameras, all of these things are good. Talk to us a little bit about what is next on your break.
So, excuse me. So what I've been, it's crazy. Like I've been on this thing lately. I've been just putting things in order, like down to how I get up in the morning, making up my bed first, then going to brush my teeth, just being very deliberate about how I govern my day. And so I was thinking about that. A lot of times when people put their life in order, it's because they're getting ready to die. But I'm putting my life in order because I have more life to live.
Mm.
And so that's going to be continuing. But I have a network that I started probably in 2007, a network of Christian ministers, Christian leaders rather, who are ministers and marketplace influencers called the Logos Connection. So in September, we're going to be having our first The Healthy Leaders Summit 2.0 here in Charlotte. So preparing for that, also preparing for when I go back to school. I just had a meeting yesterday with Dr. Key, actually, who was one of our guests. He's 45. He got his doctorate in psychology when he was 34. And so we had a meeting yesterday to talk about best practices for dissertation. And I'm also building my own brand, simply BJE Ministries, and just moving forward and seeing what God is going to do with my life and just posturing myself so that I'm ready. The last thing probably will be no surprise to Bo and Petway is that the Lord challenged me yesterday even about my prayer life. So I pray regularly, but my mentor who went to heaven when I was in 2018 while I was in Israel, she was 103 going 104, and she prayed every day at noon for 50 years. And so the Lord just kind of challenged me just to be more regimented, not just praying every day, but being more deliberate about setting time to pray. So those are the things that are next for me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, powerful.
Wow. Wow. Word that comes to mind is blessing.
Mm,
You're someone's blessing.
mm,
Matter of fact, you're not someone's blessing. You're a lot of people's blessing. It's a word that comes to mind. When you say those things and what God has put on your heart, all of those things are meant for you to go and help God's people. And so, man, this is so good. Man, I'm sad that season 3 is ending. Um, I'm sad that season 3 is ending. So I mean, I guess we got to end it. And so what I'll do is I'll just make it open forum for you guys to share just any final thoughts that you have about not just season 3, but what we can expect in season 4. Whatever you'd like to share, just any final thoughts. And whoever wants to start, you can start. But I'll let this be your time. It has been a blessing to just be able to interview you three gentlemen. And
We appreciate
once again, I pray that I get a chance to come back in season 4. Right.
it.
Let's do it again. But any final thoughts that you guys like to share?
Pittsburgh.
I like to say thank you. They always put me first. I always like to say thank you to our audience. You walk with us, you grew with us, you pray with us, you heal with us. This season has been one of, like you said, faith, forgiveness, and fatherhood. I was looking something up, and the lifeline. What is a lifeline? It's more than a rescue quote. It is a source of support or survival during difficult times. It's that thing or person you reach out for when life hits hard, when you're overwhelmed, and when you need grounding or direction. Whether it's family, faith, purpose, or community, your lifeline is what keeps you from drifting when the currents of life try to take you under. So I think our title, the Lifeline Podcast, as Barry told us of the origin of it, is very befitting to who we are and what we needed as men, to throw the lifeline and to help others. So I just want to say thank you to our audience and look forward to season 4, which would be very interesting. 4 is my number. You know what I'm saying? Stay focused, stay faithful, stay for real.
I love it. I love it. Any other final thoughts?
Barry.
So I just will say this. I want to say thank you to Bo and Petway. Thanks for hanging in there with me. That's all I have to say. Appreciate you, brothers.
We appreciate you.
That's it.
That's it, Joker.
Yeah, he's humble.
Barry, man, Barry, it's all good. But I know for me, thank you, Barry, for just the opportunity to be on the platform. We've shared this privately many times where you've thanked me, and I says, man, I'm just honored to be here. That you would trust me with your vision, because this started with you, and to trust me just off the little interactions that we had to be on this platform, man. That's I'm humbled and honored that you would allow me to do so. And just thank you to our listeners, to those who have followed us and joined in. I would just challenge you to share it more. There's a lot of stuff out there um, that are it's entertaining and things of that nature, but you don't find many places where there's authenticity and realness in the world of just fakeness and a lot of foolishness. Um, this is one of those places. It's a safe place, but it's real. It's a real place. So share it. Share it, and give us your feedback. We really, when we say that, then we really want to hear your feedback because we want to grow. We want to get better. We want to make sure we are, giving you guys what you need. So, thank you for those who listen, who have listened. So, thank you, Steve. I'll say that. Thank you. You got my vote to come back with that. So, just thank you to all our listeners for joining us, for staying with us, and those who will continue to be with us. But again, give us your feedback. Let us know what you like to see more of, what you would like to see less of. We want to grow. We want to get better. We want to continue to make an impact, even to a greater magnitude than we already have. So thank you so much. And
Can,
thank you again, Steve, for this.
can I interject for a moment?
Oh, now you want to talk.
No, 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 no. I just, no, it really escaped me. I wanted to say something in the beginning, but I forgot. I just kind of think that because of our age group, all of our age group, I think it just kind of would be crazy for us not to mention Malcolm Jamal Warner and his passing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's
Most definitely.
sobering. Because to me, that's sobering. Not just because he was a Cosby kid, but because we 40 and 50. So,
Right,
that hit home in that way. We had to think about our own mortality.
right.
So I
Not
just,
even that, just even Dion going through his bladder cancer.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's we as men we have to take care of ourselves and make wise
Yeah.
decisions. I got a doctor's appointment at 1 o'clock. So yeah, we that when I found out or heard what was going on with Dion, I was like, wow, because he was one of our I would never say idols, but people, sports
icon,
figures that
true
Icon.
icon
icon. Yeah,
that we looked up to, and how he opened his life to see those different challenges and how God has blessed him through this. So that was very sobering as well.
yeah.
This
Yeah.
past week. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and even closer to home, it's someone that I've known for a long time, close to our family. Found out he's dealing with uh, going through cancer,
What type of cancer you went in out?
prostate.
Prostate. Yeah.
I just said cancer, but it's
Okay.
prostate cancer.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's. I mean, I'm gonna keep it a bit. That's what I'm going to get checked out for today. I had one at 50. I'm 52. My grandfather
Hey,
died from prostate cancer. So yeah, this guy here, he almost slipped out of me, didn't it?
hey.
But yeah, I'm going to get checked out,
Oh,
man, and just more regularly because of the family history.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Barry was the oldest.
yeah, he actually the oldest. He sounds the oldest.
Charles the oldest. Yeah, man.
Oh man.
But Steve, hey, any final thoughts from you, man? Steve.
Yeah.
Man, I never thought that, I would, be in a position where I'd be on a podcast with, three amazing individuals, and be able to be a impact like that. I'm kind of, believe it or not, I'm a real private person, right? Like I don't, I kind of, do my deal without trying to have a lot of fanfare and all of those things. But one of the things that this opportunity has shown me and revealed to me is that your story matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the story for you, it's the story for someone else. And I just appreciate you all giving me the opportunity and a platform to be able to share. And this moment is a very special moment, in not only in my life but in my career. Just a very special moment, and I'm looking forward to season 4. I'm saying it. I'm looking forward to season 4. You know, I mean, I'm bald head. I got a beard. I mean, Barry don't have a beard, but you know, he did. At least we all bald head, right? So I'm looking forward to season 4 and anything that I can lend to the Lifeline podcast. It has been amazing, man. What you guys do in 40 episodes. I mean, what you all are doing and being transparent and offering the content that you offer. I know, Bo, you made a comment. You said there's a lot of things out there that are entertaining, but there are very few things out there that are actually impactful. And so we got to be able to separate the entertainment from what's actually impactful. And so the Lifeline podcast is impactful. And we're going to do whatever we have to do to make sure that it survives. And not only survives, but thrives. And so thank you all again. Thank you all again for the opportunity.
For sure. Man,
Thank you.
that's powerful.
Thank
I
you.
don't think our listeners really know that the interesting note about the podcast is that it initiated, or me and Bo had never met Barry in person before we started this, and just how we connected as men. And, you know, as black men, when you see another black man, sometimes you just what up, keep it moving. But to open up and grow and become brothers and never meeting in person is very impactful. I could just say that as a man, not meeting me, or I haven't shook their hand, I haven't dapped them up, haven't bro hugged them, but these are my brothers.
Absolutely.
That's very powerful. Yeah.
We got to make that happen.
Yeah, we got to make that happen in person. Yeah.
So,
most definitely.
So, but man, if there's nothing else, this concludes another episode of the Lifeline Podcast with your host, Lindsberg Petway, and Barry J. Elliott, and myself. And of course, thank you again to our guest host, Stephen Coleman. Thank you for being here. I think this was an incredible show. I mean, thanks for your energy and your insight and just how you navigated this conversation. But to our listeners, don't forget to check us out at www.simplybje.com/the Lifeline and on social media. Look, we're on a mission. We want to bring light and life into your household, so join us and let us hear your feedback, because it's all about bringing life to you on the Lifeline. Y'all take care.
Thank you for listening to today's episode with host, business expert, and life coach Bo Powell, social media influencer and entrepreneur Lindsberg Petway, and leadership coach and mental health advocate Barry J. Elliott. Join us next week for another impactful conversation on the Lifeline. God bless.